With the possibility of a Trump presidency next year, are migrants rushing to the southern border? I'm joined by Matthew Peterson, editor-in-chief of Blaze News, and Todd Bensman. He's a senior national security fellow for the Center for Immigration Studies, and he's been in Mexico for a while right now. So tell us what you've seen there on the ground, Todd.
Right. Right now I'm standing in front of the Rio Suchiate, which is the border between Guatemala and Mexico. And not far from me is the city of Tapachula, where there are 150,000 immigrants trapped behind a militarized cordon, Mexican military operation to kind of hem them in, to keep them from creating a political spectacle at our border. This goes back to a deal that was done in December of 2023 in order to, reduce the total numbers that were being seen crossing and driving the polls down. So 150,000 is an astronomical number that are hemmed up here in this enclave, this migrant kind of Gaza Strip, if you will, until at least I think about November 5th or 6th. I think the deal is probably good at least until then, at which point the Mexicans could then decide to release them, because this is a major burden for the Mexicans to have this many migrants in one place. They're also doing this in another city in a nearby state, Tabasco State, city of Villahermosa. And what they do is they are rounding up migrants from the northern provinces and shipping them down here. And at the same time, thousands are crossing in from Guatemala still, pile driving into Tapachula. So that's the situation down here. And the big question is, when will they be released?
Todd, this is one of the biggest stories of the election. Are there any other journalists down there covering it?
Not that I've seen. I'm unaware of anybody down here. Happy to be the only one in Tapachula for such a major story. Professionally, it's great to sort of own this thing. But on the other hand, I think it's kind of bad for America that nobody's here. This is a diplomatic story. It's a political campaign story. And it's a human interest story. My God, the people that are coming through here are in absolute torment being in Tapachula, because they've used up all the available resources. The people are sleeping on the streets. There's no room in shelters. There's no room in the hotels. And they just keep pile driving in because they fear that Donald Trump is going to win. All day yesterday and the day before, they were telling me about, they're absolutely panicking that they can't get into the United States in case Donald Trump wins, because he's going to close the gate. He's going to shut the border. So, there's a real sense of urgency among the immigrants here, and they've started to form caravans to kind of force their way out of Tapachula to escape Tapachula. That movie called Escape from New York. This is Escape from Tapachula going on, and I was with a caravan all day long yesterday of about 1,000 people. I don't know if that's video that I took, but there's about another 1,000 or 2,000 forming up right now in downtown Tapachula to get ready to push on to another city down here, providing that the Mexican military will let them pass. And I don't think right now they're letting them pass, not until the 5th, at least.
Yeah, Todd, it is video from your X account. You've had so many videos and images. Everybody needs to go follow you there. But one of the questions that I have, you're talking with the immigrants that are down there. Where are they coming from? When they do get there, are they the usual suspects of Central America, or are these people from all over the world trying to get into this caravan?
They're from all over the world. This morning, I met my first Vietnamese. They're staying in my hotel. The hotel is filled with Armenians, with people from the Philippines, Filipinos. I've met people from Togo and Ghana, Cameroon. you name it. They're from all over the world here, in addition to Hondurans and Salvadorans and the rest. People are coming in. They're coming in right now. I mean, I'm looking at rafts just filled. Uh, they're coming in from Tucunaman, right over across the river there, uh, and they just come in day and night, filling Tapachula even more. And all of them just sort of keep coming with this hope that soon the Mexicans will relent and let them through. And that's the big question. Will the Mexicans relent on the deal that they made with Biden at that time he was running for office? So I would say the Biden-Harris campaign.
So, in the event of a Biden-Harris victory, could you spell out for us a little bit about what you think would happen?
Well, I mean, a couple of things. One is that whatever the deal was that they struck back in December, nobody really knows what the terms of the deal was, except that it definitely had to do with the mass migration. In December, there were 14,000 a day crossing our border. It was absolutely untenable. And something had to be done. And what they did was come down here and do it. So I don't know if they offered money or threatened them with something. But the chances are pretty good that the threat will be sort of ended, or the money or whatever was paid, the terms will have been reached as of November 5th, because the numbers are down to where they were when Trump was in office. The ones that are crossing illegally. Now they're flying them in by the hundreds of thousands, and they're walking them in over the land ports too by the hundreds of thousands, so you can't see them, but there are a lot of ways to get people into the United States, short of them having to cross illegally now. The ones that aren't going to go by air and aren't going to get the CBP-1, they're here in Tapachula. They would be crossing illegally right now, 150,000 of them, and still coming all the time. I think that they'll be released. That's what I think is going to happen sometime in between the election and the transition.
So, Todd,
the new administration.
I mean, the insanity of this, that it's not being covered, is, I mean, we're old enough to remember, all of us here, when kids in cages were a terrible thing. Now it's hundreds of thousands of kids can go missing and it's fine. Here you have cities in cages, right? I mean, you're putting people in these cities, and not a single person is talking about this in legacy media. It's insane. Say more about the conditions there.
Well, I'm going to steal that city in cages thing. I've been trying to come up with a new something, Gaza Strip. I don't know. I'm stealing that. It's terrible. The people who are forming in these caravans are desperate to get out to any other city but Tapachula, because it's absolutely picked clean. If you come here with, a certain budget from your home country, and you find that you're stuck here trying to get some visa that never shows up, pretty soon you're out of money, and you're kind of like on your own to try to feed yourself and your wife and kids, or whoever is with you. And that's the situation. People are hungry in that town. They're doing all these side hustles, selling little fruit stands, fruits and vegetables, and sleeping in the streets. There is significant crime. Everybody I talk to is complaining about these extortionists, and the Sinaloa cartel is down here. There are theft gangs that are organized, that are just preying on all these people. People are getting murdered. It's a terrible situation, according to the immigrants. And they want to just be able to move anywhere except home. I mean, home is still an option for them. I mean, this is something that is working for the U.S. border. The numbers are down because, they're holding them here. But, they ought to be having some kind of an incentive program to move them home from here, so that they, can't just indefinitely, pile up in these cities here. So I don't know what they're going to do, but they should not be released to the U.S. border, in my opinion, because we're going to have a humanitarian crisis the day that happens.
Well, Todd, you are the immigration expert. You actually wrote the book on it. It's called Overrun. So tell people about it and where they can get it.
Sure. Overrun came out last year. It's based on my first 2.5 years of covering this particular mass migration crisis, the greatest in U.S. history. It's the only book that gives you soup to nuts how this thing started and how to get out of it and what it looked like on the ground. This is not my first time here in Tapachula, that's for sure. It's the most immigrants I've ever seen, though, by far in this town. I've been here probably 5 or 6 different times. The book is available anywhere books are sold, bookstores, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, everywhere like that. And if you don't understand how you got into this, you can't understand how to get out of it.
Thanks so much for all of the information today and for what you're bringing here just to the American people. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And Matthew, I almost couldn't believe some of the things that he was talking about there, and just to know that that is happening and that it's, you know, basically all in line with the Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah, I mean, I encourage people to follow him on X if you have an X account, to follow his account, Todd Bensman, with CIS, because they're doing amazing work. And what's really disgusting about this, what's really disturbing about it to me, is how much smoke and mirrors there is, right? I mean, this is an actual story. This is real. This is actually happening. Something like this deal was made, and we're not going to see that in, you know, the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post, and, you know, we're going to bring it to you right here live from the internet.